we do.
Because you're so easy to pick on.
Say what? That's not nice. You're picking on me because I'm short.
You pick
I'm
on
actually
me.
in a ditch at the moment.
Yeah,
Standing
I know.
in a ditch. You're not that much taller than me, alright?
I actually am a
That's
lot
why I
taller
use
than
you.
you are.
No, you're not. How tall are you?
173 centimetres.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up now.
You're like 110 centimetres.
165, thank you very much.
Oh, sorry.
And I'm very proud of every centimetres of that. I make it up in other areas. I take good photos.
Tripod.
Oh, people love me because I've got a big lens. Alright, anyway, I suppose we better record something, okay?
Alright.
What am I going to say? What am I going to talk about? Alright. I need to, if I'm going to do some of these videos, I need to come up with a catchphrase like, like, I don't fucking know. That's why I don't have one. Anyway, let's get into it.
That's why I don't have one, because I don't know.
Bazinga.
That's Sheldon's.
It is actually.
Bazinga.
Yeah. Alright. Hello and welcome to our little video. We're here at Lake Mountain, up in up Bumfuck actually. I've got the beautiful Abby here who's my model today, and we're going to do a bit of a fashion editorial kind of shoot. It's nothing for anything special, just us mucking around. It's actually a really nice day. It's a bit overcast, but it's not drizzly or anything like that. Today, what I'll be shooting with, I got my Pentax, which is my very first time I've ever taken it out of the studio. So I'm slightly nervous and excited. I get to use it on location for the first time. With some of the equipment I'm using today, I've got the studio lights in here, using my old Flash Pro 500s, using a Godox inverter, the LPX 800, if I remember rightly. Mainly because I just want to be able to shoot quickly and get stuck in it, because I have a bit of energy when I shoot. Abby's got a model out beautiful dress that we've got here. There it is there. We've got this really groovy, fantastic mask that I threw together over the last couple days in my studio that I had made from bits and pieces laying around. So we'll have a bit of a play with that. I'll probably be shooting with a polarizing filter just to kind of maybe try and get rid of some of the glare.
I'm Greg Desiatov, and thank you so much for sticking around to the end of the behind the scenes video for this tutorial. Firstly, I need to apologize for the quality of that behind the scenes video. I bought a couple really cheap action cameras. They were like $29 Australian, and you know what they say, you definitely get what you paid for, and I really got some rubbish there. Now, I originally did this shoot about 2 years ago, and finally got around to actually doing this tutorial. So I'm going to take you through step by step on how I created the whole image, the final image. So the starting process is let's head over to Adobe Bridge, and I have a few images that I've already pre-selected. Now there's a few things I want to change, and you can see it's very different already to the final image. So let's bring in the raw image and we'll take you through the process of the changes that I made. First thing, of course, is we need to do our raw settings. First thing I do is I head over to the lens correction and click on the remove and also the enable profile corrections. That automatically selects the camera lens that I used. In this particular case, I used this Pentax 645Z with the 55mm prime, the f2.8. Next, I head over to the detail and I adjust my sharpening to about 60. And this is really the only sharpening I do through the whole image. Then I head over to the basics and we start adjusting some of these levels here just to get it to where, where I'd like it. So first thing I need to do is I think I'll see if I can adjust the contrast, the exposure a bit, brighten it up a bit. The contrast as well. Highlights, let's knock back some of those whites. The shadows to bring in some of the background detail there and some of the detail underneath the logs. And knock back some of the whites to get rid of that glare across the snow. And then maybe some blacks as well, bring it up a bit, bring out some more detail. And that should suffice. Open up the image. And I'll just close that one to get rid of it. Now some of the changes I want to do is, as much as I really like this pose, and that was the main reason I selected this particular image, but I really don't like the angle of her head and the eyes and the way the actual mask is sitting on her face. So I'm going to use a second image and change over the head, and I'm also going to use a third image and cut, copy and paste some fabric over this area, because for me it's a bit distracting and I want to fill it up and make it a bit more solid. So what I need to do firstly is what I do with all my images is I create a duplicate, which is Control J, and I rename that base. You obviously can rename that to whatever you wish, and from here on I do all my changes to this layer and above, and I keep the original layer there, original image. So what I want to do now is clean up the image, and it's just like painting a house. You need to prepare the image before you take it any further. So I'm going to clean up all these little bits here, the little sticks and the blemishes, and maybe push in her waist a little bit there, and just a general cleanup. Now what I've done is gone over to my clone stamping tool, or rather spot healing tool, let's get that right, Greg. Spot healing tool, and we're just going to move across and do a bit of cleaning up. Okay, there's our image cleaned up a bit. Now what I'm going to do is head over to my other image where I want to actually replace this whole headpiece and her face. So again, I've pre-selected an image, back into bridge. Now to make life easier, rather than bring it up and having to adjust all the settings once again, we can just head over to our first image that I adjusted. Go to right click on there, go to develop settings and copy settings. Then right click on the image again, the second image, head over to develop settings and paste settings, and hit OK. They're basically all the settings we've adjusted, and that just saves a bit of time. So double clicking on that, And here we just have to go open image, and we have the exact settings as we did in the previous image. So let's drop that down a bit. I'm just going to select it with my selection tool and get a bit of a large area, and I'll show you why in a sec I do that. And control left click and drag it over, and we can close that image, and you can see the settings match up quite well. And what I do here is I adjust the opacity just so I have an idea of where to actually place her new head, which is about, yeah, her chin's down slightly, so we want to just slightly lift it. You can see her original chin image there. And let's bring that up to 100% again. Head over to our little mask tool there, add a layer mask, go over to the brush tool and make sure it's set to black so we can blend it in. And this takes make sure that's set to 100%, and we can then blend it in. Now the great thing about having a really textured background is actually it's very easy to blend it in. You can get away with quite a fair bit because of that. And you can see the difference it's made. Now if you click between layers on and off, you can actually find where you missed some areas. So there's some bits I need to fix there. White to bring it back again. And constantly clicking between the two, you can get a fair idea how. Now what I did there, I Control Z. I should do. What I might do is actually lighten this whole image a bit. So let's head over to our adjustment layers there, to curves, and I'm just going to clip that to the bottom image there. So we only affect that particular layer. So we just need to click that little icon and bring it up just a touch, just to blend it in a bit more. There we go. It's pretty cool. Now let's adjust the fabric there. I want to fill up that area. So back to bridge. I've pre-selected that image as well. What I did forget to do is add the development settings. So let's head back there again. Right click, develop settings, paste settings, confirm it, double click that, open image, and then select a large area once again so we can actually blend it in. Actually, I might make it quite huge. Again, control left mouse, left button on the mouse that is, and drag it to roughly where we need it to be. Now I might just rotate it a bit as well. Now I'm thinking about roughly about there. And of course we can make fine adjustments as we go along. Bring up to 100%, and again let's create a mask for it. Black brush to punch through the image. Now what I usually do, give it a really rough something erase, and then we can just clean it up just to give us an idea where it's all happening. Now let's go in and we can actually finalize that a bit better. Go into our white brush now and just move right in there. Now what I want to do is actually clean up these little areas there. They're all wobbly and wonky and I really don't like it. So what I'm going to do is cut and paste, select cut and paste over these. They're actually leaves. They look like feathers but they're actually leaves. And just to kind of balance the headpiece out and make it look all, you know, symmetrical and things like that. So let's do that now. First thing I need to do, or the way I do it, is I'll select these three layers using the shift button. So click on the top one, click on the base, and right click. Oh, sorry. Control J. Right click, merge layers, change that to base as well. And then let's head in and start doing a bit of selecting, and Control C to copy and Control V to paste it. Start off using the selection tool there. Control C, paste, and let's flip that over. Go to transform, edit, transform, flip horizontally, and let's move it over this side. Same thing with this leaf. Make sure we select the correct layer. Again, Control C, Control V to paste, edit, transform, flip horizontally, and just drag that over to this side. Now what I'm going to do is actually slightly adjust it so it's not quite perfect, but so we're going to edit, transform, rotate. Okay, now let's head back to the base layer, because I actually want to remove all that. So make sure we've clicked on that, heading over to our clone tool, adjust our brush. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can spot heal it, or you can use the clone brush, and it's a matter of choice, whichever gives you the best results. Now you want to kind of stamp from different areas just to make sure it doesn't look like it's been cloned, like that. And I constantly click between the two, just so I can see where I need to clean it up or remove it. Cool, it's looking pretty good. Okay, I want to replace these two as well. So let's highlight this piece there. Again, back to our selection brush thingy. I don't even know the name of that. What's it called? Quick selection tool. Okay, Control C, paste. Again, edit, transform, flip horizontally, and let's move over here. Now this one I'm actually going to rotate as well. Transform, rotate, like so. A bit more. Okay, enter, and let's clean up those little areas that are popping out. Back to our base layer, again our stamp tool, now I am going to go over on this leaf because I'm going to replace that as well. Like I said earlier, because the background's so busy, it's actually really easy to blend it all, and no one will know the difference. Right, so what I might do is I'll probably grab this leaf here. Let's deselect it so we're on the base layer again, just so I can see what I'm doing. Back to this. Okay, Control V to stamp it down. Make sure we highlight that one. And let's bring it over. Transform, rotate it. And get it roughly to where we want it. About there. enter to stamp it down. Now let's move in and clean up a bit more behind those particular leaves. Cool. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Nice. Okay, cool. Now let's select these 4 layers and I'm going to merge them. And that's our headpiece there. And let's clean up these little areas there now, just to blend them in. So we'll call them, well, leaves. And let's create a mask for it as well. Head over to our brush tool and let's blend them in at 100%. Now, because it's all white, you do need to click between the layers just so you can see where you need to actually adjust and erase. I just might clean up this area there. There we go. Blended with the leaf below it. So these type of things, I'll leave that. I won't change it because you actually can't tell. You can't really tell there's another leaf just below it. We'll clean up this bit there. Oops. Clone tool, stamp, and head in there. There we go. And it's just a matter of looking and seeing where it needs to be cleaned up. Okay, that's pretty good. Now we've got a nicely evenly balanced headpiece. Cool. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these two together. Merge layers. Rename that to base again. And let's zoom back into it and let's with the clone tool, let's kind of blend these a bit better. So this time I'm going to set the opacity to about 50%. Using the Alt key, just select a section there and just kind of blend it in like so, and vice versa. Now, when I originally made this headpiece, I'd used it before, but it had been painted red. So when I actually sprayed it white, it came up like a slight pinkish tone to it. So we need to adjust that. These were brown beforehand, so they come up white, and we still need to clean up the mask. And yeah, like I said, I want to get rid of that pinkiness to it. So pretty quick, easy fix. Our what is it again? Quick selection tool. And let's just go in there, adjusting the size of the brush. And it's pretty cool, it calculates it quite well. There we go. And let's head over to our adjustment layers. This time I'm going to head to Vibrance and knock out the red by doing that. There we go. Easy as that. So you can see the pickiness there, and knock it out there. Probably a bit more. Okay. Cool. All right, so we're getting there. We've got basically our bits and pieces that we need to do before we start doing all the beauty stuff. So again, I'm just going to merge those layers there together again, or you can leave them, up to you. So let's go right in and just clean up a few of the bits and pieces that I actually missed. So using the spot healing tool, let's clean up these mask areas. And these were plastic jewels that I just stuck onto the front of the headpiece using a hot glue gun. So let's get rid of those little holes there, and let's clean up some of those pieces there. Maybe some of those too. Alright, it's like I said earlier, I want to bring in that waste a touch. So let's head over to Filter, Liquify, zoom in, and going by the angle of that piece of fabric there, let's just push it in. I'm just using the bracket keys to enlarge it and shrink it. Let's give it a bit of shape to the boot. Okay, cool. Hit OK to confirm it. And let's have a look at our image before and after so far. It's looking good. Okay. Next step. Let's do our skin retouching, which really doesn't need that much on this particular image. But we're kind of going to clean up the color tones a bit, trying to even them out as well. Fix up the exposure of her nipple there, it's cleaned that up, and we can see there's a change in tone there of her leg, because she was actually freezing on a day. And we'll remove some of these creases in her dress as well, using this frequency separation technique. And that's a great thing about that particular technique, is that it's not only for skin, but I actually use it on fabric as well, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. So first thing to do, let's prepare our image for frequency separation. Control J to duplicate 2 layers. I'll call that low pass. The top one there, high pass. And then head over to our adjustment layers again. Let's create a curves layer. Bring that down a touch. This will be our dodge, or rather, sorry, our burn layer. Call that burn. Now highlight the mask, Control I to invert it so we actually hide it. Create another curves layer. This time we go the opposite way, and this will be our dodge layer. Again, Control I and dodge. Okay, so our 2 dodge and burn layers. Now let's have it to head over to low pass. Deselect the high pass so we can see what's going on in the low pass, and go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur, or Gaussian Blur. And that's way too much, obviously. Let's bring it right down. So we smooth it out, but still can see, you know, not necessarily the details, but we can see where the eyes are. You don't want to go too far. And this will change depending on the resolution of your camera. If you have a higher resolution, you won't. You'll need to do more of a blur compared to a lower resolution image file. Okay, there's that. So select our high pass, bring that image back. This time we go to image, apply image. Make sure that's set to subtract, the blending mode, and we need to find our layer, which is our low pass. And you can see it really creates a sharp layer there. Hit OK. Head over to our blending layer and change that to linear light. And now we have a layer that we can actually do our cleaning up, and it won't actually adjust the tones. So head over to our clone stamping tool. Now adjust the brush. Now let's set that to 100%. And you can see there we're getting rid of some of the slight blemishes, and there's not that much in this particular image. And we can grab the detail from any part of the actual image without actually affecting our tones. This is a really cool technique. Now I use frequency separation in all my images. Okay, that's all our blemishes fixed up. So let's even out the skin a bit now, and you can see there's a whole bunch of reddiness in there. I mean, in the initial image when we brought it through camera raw, we could have actually adjusted the redness there, but I kind of, be honest, forgot. So let's fix that up now. And now what I want to do a little bit later, I will desaturate the image, the skin, just to give it that wintry, ghostly feel to it. But first thing I'll need to do, just above the low pass, let's create a new layer, and I'll call that fill, and deselect the high pass, and you can see our blurred layer is there. Head over to our color picker tool, and let's just sample her face so we can get that right tone there. bring that back, adjust our brush back again to the opacity of 30% and our flow of 30 as well. So it's a really soft brush. Let's head over to her hands and let's remove some of the pinkiness. And kind of even up to what's in her face. You can see there's a slight tonal change already. So when we actually do our when we adjust our vibrance and vibrance layer, it'll be fairly even. Again, you can see the pinkiness in her hands, and that's because it was obviously really cold. Well, I didn't do a great job about those hands, but that masking, but that's okay. I rushed it a bit because of time, but obviously you can spend a bit more time on it, get it a bit more perfect. You can see the difference there, and we still haven't lost any of our details. It's still really sharp. All our tones are there. I mean, all our skin pores are there. Okay. All right, that's got a it's fairly even now. Cool. All right. Now let's fix up the fabric, her dress. Let's get rid of some of the creases there. Oh, actually, let's just fix up this blemish there, her nipple. Deselect that. Let's select something close to the color of the fabric, and then still keep it on 30%. There we go, we fixed it all up. And again, I think I went a bit far there. Oh, holy moly. I can tell you what I did wrong there. I'm on the wrong layer. Cool, okay. Looking good. Okay, like I said, let's fix up the fabric. Still using our frequency separation technique. Let's hit the high pass there. Oh, actually, I haven't quite finished the skin. Let's smooth out the skin just a touch more. Let's head over to our low pass. Grab our lasso tool. Now, let's probably on this image, let's adjust that to probably about 15 pixels for the feathering. And still making sure we're on our low pass. Just select the area around her face, go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and adjust it till it smooths it out. If you go too far, you'll get residual colors from like the mask and that type of thing. So you want to bring it right back and just smooth it out enough without getting any of the artifact from surrounding areas. And again, the feathering will depend on the resolution of your image. Blur, Gaussian blur. So it's taken a bit from the dark area, so I want to bring that back a bit. Let's head over to our arm as well. Now what I'll do, I'll put a link into the comments section to a video that really details this technique a lot better. So just head over there if you want to spend a bit more time on frequency separation. Again, if you go too far, I'll show you. So it goes all crazy. Now this technique does get rid of some of the tones in there, the shadowings and things like that. So we need to fix that up a little bit later. And oops. They did pretty well there. And you'll see how much it'll fix up on her foot, on her foots. And if you need to, you can go a second time there. Okay, that looks pretty even now. All right, let's fix up the fabric. Again to our high pass layer. Okay, so we're removing most of the creases, and the rest of it we have to go back to our low pass layer in a sec. Now do zoom out occasionally just so you can see the progress of the fabric. Okay, so we've got that happening. Let's fix these creases up a bit more. So like I said earlier, let's head over to our low pass, select our tool, blur, Gaussian blur, Okay, that's not too bad. Clean it up a fair bit. Let's go back to our original. Okay. Alright, our next step is to dodge and burn the image. Let's get create a bit more depth to it. So let's click on our burn layer, grab our brush tool, make sure that's set to white because the mask is black and we want to punch through it. Adjust our flow to 100% and leave the opacity at about 30%. So let's go in there and add a few more shadows back into our image. And we can dodge as well. Now the great thing about this particular technique, using the dodge and burn with the two separate curve layers, is it's non-destructive, and you can add and remove as many times as you wish without actually affecting the image. So you can unclick it and it's gone. In fact, if you think it's too heavy, you can click on the burn layer and adjust the opacity to soften it or adjust it. And you can go back anytime. For instance, if we change it to black, we can then blend it in, soften it up a bit if we need to. It's a really cool technique. Alright, let's head over to the mask. And what I want to do is really highlight some of the shadows just to add a bit more depth, or I guess 3D, so it really stands out a bit better. All the detail, that is. One of the things you can do is if you kind of need to work out where to put the shadows, you can refer to the original image and just go into the background image. If you hold the Alt key, click on that little eye icon, it takes you back to the original image. And you can have a good look and see where the shadows and the light's falling, and you can then adjust it. So I'm going to add, oops, it needs to be white. And if you head over to the black, you can then remove some of that shadowing, and by using the edge of the brush, which is the softest section, you can then just kind of blend it all in. Right, now let's add some highlights. Actually, before I do the highlights, let's adjust the tone of her skin and give it a more ghostly effect to it. So let's click on the high pass, go to our vibrance, and knock it down, and then highlight the mask, Control I to invert it so we hide it, and I'll call that pale skin. Select the mask, and the opacity at 100% for the mask, for the brush, sorry, and then we can go in and desaturate the skin. Actually matches her eyes too. Don't know why her eyes were pale. Now, I did this without actually highlighting the mask. You can or cannot, it's up to you. The backspace button, it brings up the mask. The red areas are basically what's covered. Whoops, the white. Now, highlighting the mask or showing the mask just gives you an idea where you still need to clean up in case you've missed some areas like I have. There you go, she's looking good. So back to the original image. Let's add a bit more tones to her dress, some bit more depth. Again, make sure we're set at 30%. Head to the burn tool and add. Okay, it's looking good. Our next step is to really give it the tonal contrast. Now I'm going to go into Nik software for this. First thing I need to do is head over to our layer sections there. Highlight the top one, then shift button for the base, Control J to duplicate, and we're going to flatten those or merge. Rename them to base. Head over to filter. Now, if you don't have Nik software, I actually got it when it was free and it was owned by Google. It's no longer owned by Google. So you'll have to purchase it, or if you've got the free copy, fantastic. Filter, Nik collection, and let's go to Color Effects Pro. Make sure your tonal contrast is selected there, and you can see that I've got that adjusted to, I think it's about 50% each, roughly, and click OK. And we've got our layer that's got the tonal contrast applied to it. Let's create a mask. I'm going to hold the Alt key down, click on the mask, and that will automatically inverts it for you and hides it. Now what I'll do is create 2 copies of it. So it's Control J twice. Click on the bottom layer because we're going to punch through it and expose what's underneath. So normally with the first layer I'll do the headpiece, the hair and the dress. So brush tool set to white at 100%, and we just need to go in and actually start unmasking it. So again, you can use the backslash button just so you can see where you're going or not. Okay, that's all masked up, and that looks a bit freaky. So let's hide the highlighted mask. Adjust that to about 89%. Again, these settings will slightly differ depending on the resolution of your image. So you can see how much detail it actually brings out this technique. Click on the next layer, and on this particular one we're going to do just the skin. That's our skin masked out. So let's adjust that to about, on my particular image, it's about 40%, 43%. And you can see the subtle difference. Probably not so much on this particular one because the skin's so pale. So let's bring that up a bit. And the final bit, on the final layer, let's do the actual surroundings. Again, highlight our mask. Now what I will do on this particular one is I'm not going to do the snow, because this tonal adjustment actually blows the snow out. So there's our image. Let's knock that down quite a bit, down to about 30%, somewhere around there. So it's subtle, but it's effective. Okay, that's our image so far. Let's head back to our original. Let's have a good look. That particular one there. And you can see, you know, the tonal differences in our fabric, the background. In fact, I might punch up the background a bit more. Okay, we're on to our next step, and now we're going to create some snow, some falling snow. The day I shot this, it was cold, but there wasn't any actual snow falling, so we're going to add that in post-production. So let's head over to our little menu here and create a new layer, and let's call that Snow 1, because we need to actually create 3 layers. Now create that one, let's just Control J and rename that to 2 and 3. So our first layer for our snow, I'm going to use a brush that I actually bought off Joel Grimes a little while ago, and you can actually get these brushes anywhere for free, or you can buy the Joel Grimes ones. You can go to places like Desiatov and you can download their brushes, and they vary in quality, and a lot of them are free, and some, you know, you got to pay for. In this case, I particularly bought a pack from Joel, from his website. So let's head over there, Snow and Lightning, and I'm just going to scroll over to this one here, and there's our brush, and I'm going to enlarge that as much as I can. Make sure that's set to white. Actually, I'm going to stamp it right smack bang in the middle there. I'm going to head over to Transform Scale, and unfortunately, because the brush doesn't expand that much, so I'm going to blow that up to about there. Now, these being the closest, what I need to do is actually blur these a bit more. What I need to do first is go back to my normal brush. That'll do. Shrink that down. And let's just get rid of some of the ones that are right smack bang in her face. Using our black brush. We still want to see, you know, some detail there. There we go. Maybe that one. Okay, let's head over to, make sure our layer's highlighted. Head over to Filter, Blur, and we're going to use a Gaussian blue. And let's adjust that one there. Cool. Now let's move over to our second layer. Again, let's go to our brush, make sure it's set on white, and let's grab another one from Young Joel. And what can we use? Something like that. And maybe even move over to our third layer, again with the same brush. But what I'll do this time is actually the brush that we used before, is I'm going to flip it so it doesn't look the same, and both its axes. But this time I'm going to stomp it there and then flick it back there, about there. Alright, again we need to go back to our normal brush, create a mask, and again let's remove the ones around the face, and also on that one there. Cool. Let's unclick that one so we know what's going on. Again, on these particular ones I'll probably blur them, but I won't blur them as much this time. Gaussian blur, knock it right down. So let's start cleaning up the snow just a touch. Just remove from anywhere where it's a bit distracting. Let's add over to our brush tool, make sure it's set on black, and just clean up around the face again. Okay. Yeah, I think I might need to remove some around here. It's a bit messy. Right, we're just about at the tail end of the processing. I'm going to give it a bit of a colour grade now, just to give it a bit more uniqueness to the shot. Now I use this little action from a website called RussiaWorld.com. Now I actually bought and downloaded these actions a little while ago. Pretty cheap, they're on special. They seem to be always on special, from $5,000 down to $295. Crazy things like that. But what I need to do is I've worked out a bit of a trick, because that particular action makes these PSD files, the layers in it, go all a bit strange. So what I need to do is actually deselect these three layers there, and you'll see in a sec why. I'll flatten this image, and then I'll save it as a JPEG. Save as JPEG. And then we need to open up that PSD file again. Okay, I've just opened up the PSD file again. So what I'm going to do now is actually head over to my JPEG image there. I'm going to run the action, and here it is there. That's Russia World there, and the action I'm going to run there. So it's a matter of hitting the play button, and it'll run through it all. What I need to do is go back to the layers, flatten that, and then we're going to drag and drop this onto our original PSD file. There it is there, and we can close that. We don't need that anymore. And you'll see that it's appeared below these dodge and burn layers there. If I'd kept them there, everything would have been a lot darker with the dodge and burn. So now I can actually adjust that and fine tune this particular layer. And I'm going to add a few things to it. What I want to do is actually just add a bit more blush to her cheeks. Her face just looks a bit flat, so let's go in there. Head to our burn layer. Make sure that's set at 30%. And slowly bring in our cheekbones there. Oops, we need our white, of course. And let's blend that in. And add just a bit more shadow to her lips. Her eyes really punch up her eyelashes there, and probably out there. Probably should have got that and got rid of that earlier. Didn't even notice that. Oops. There we go. Let's have a quick look if it's better with or without the pale skin. Yeah, I'll probably stay with the pale skin. Okay, so face is looking a bit better. Let's just add a bit more blush. Oops. Okay, let's highlight her cheeks. Head up to the dodge. Oops, again back to white. And give a bit of a reflection there. Again, blend it in a bit. And probably add a highlight to the top of her lip. And widen up her teeth a bit. And I think it needs something just underneath there. Alright, let's head over to her arms. Let's add a highlight straight down the middle of her arm. Same on the other side. Again, let's blend it in. Cool, just about there. Look at that. Let me just double check. And final step, let's add a vignette. So I just created a new layer. Call it vignette. Let's add a mask. Go to our fill tool, which is black for me there. Oops. Make sure you highlight the layer. Fill it up. Oh, lost control. Make sure that's black. Fill it up. And down to about 30%, somewhere around there. Highlight the mask. Make sure we head over to our black tool. Now what I like to do is actually do that at 100% and totally mask out or mask in my subject, and then I'll add the rest of it with a softer brush. So let's knock that down to about 30 and just shape it to well, the desired effect that you want. Now when I do my vignetting, I don't really do like a circle. I always have this really strange shape and kind of, you know, highlight areas of the whole image there. That's pretty simple there, and focuses onto the subject a bit more. So really, I think that's about it. We've done on that particular image, and let's compare it to our final image there with our original. So it's a huge difference. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. If you like what I've done, please subscribe, hit the notification bell and like it. Thank you very much, and catch you on the next video.